into another edition of the Cubs Now podcast. My name is Lance Brozdowski alongside the man, the myth, the legend, Alex Cohen. How are you doing? You don't like that intro?
I am definitely...
I think it's a great intro.
I am not the myth. I'm definitely not a legend. But I appreciate it. You were 1 for 3 with that, which gets into the All-Star game.
That's 333 hours. It's pretty good in baseball. All right, big show. We're going to dig through some All-Star talk, PCA getting into the All-Star game, some of the snubs, talk a little Home Run Derby rule change, kind of a potpourri episode as we lead up to the All-Star break here in Philadelphia, which will be a lot of fun. Topic of the day, I feel like the topic of the day on every podcast is Pete Crow-Armstrong, and that's where we will start. He has been introduced, I don't even know what you call it.
Voted in, officially inducted,
Yeah, I guess inducted into the All-Star game, and I'm trying to figure out the word there that works from an adjective standpoint.
Selected to the All-Star game.
There, that's
his second straight at the age of 24.
Second straight at the age of 24, Megan Montemurro with a good tweet here. Yeah, he didn't get voted in by the fans, which I still think I'm trying to mentally reconcile, because it doesn't really make sense as to how someone who's this popular does not get the number of votes that he did to be
He didn't get the
starter.
Straight line, but he got the loop around to get to the All-Star.
And he's in there. He's very deserving. He's had an unbelievable season. And, yeah, I mean, how cool is it to potentially see him doing fun stuff late in the game, defensively,
replacement, I mean, and also
running.
with the All-Star game, it's not like the starters are going to play 6, 7 innings. They play 4. So
yeah, exactly.
Pete gets an at-bat, maybe 2, and he's the most valuable player in the National League outside of Shohei Ohtani. So naturally, he deserves to be in an All-Star game. But I think we can't take for granted what he's doing. Just the first 23-year-old season, 30-plus homers, 30-plus steals, 9th in the MVP voting. And then this year, he's been better in pretty much every single way possible. He's doing all the power things. He's playing better defensively, and he's getting on base. So it's just he's becoming such a more complete player to what he was last year, which was a pretty darn good complete player.
Yeah, so beginning of the year, if I told you the Cubs only had one All-Star rep, what do you think the record would be?
I think they would have been around 500.
Okay, they would have been better than that. So we have a positive outcome despite the fact
they would have been, if they said, like, their only All-Star is Pete Crow-Armstrong, I would have said they're probably anywhere between 5 games over 500 and 5 games under.
Okay, so it's a wide range. I guess if you told me that at the beginning of the year, based on what the hype we had, I think around a lot of guys on this team, I would have expected 2-3 under, where it's like, man, kind of.
Well, I'm at 5 under, so yeah, I'm right there.
You're in that window.
Yeah,
I guess I wouldn't have expected them to be over as they are at this point in time. I mean, the funny thing is, if you're looking at who would be the All-Star rep, like, I know Ben Brown is hurt, but like, I was looking, we're gonna do a preview pod next week that'll drop. Probably kind of State of the Union. It's Ben Brown is like the guy that I'm like, oh, I think he should actually get a bid. I know he's hurt.
Exactly.
But
I mean, if you're looking at any other Cub, like, probably Dansby at this point, because if you look at his WAR numbers among shortstops and the power numbers, he's on pace for over 100 runs batted in. He's having his best defensive season in 3 years with the Cubs. Like, you could make a case that, I mean, it's easy to say if he didn't have like that 6-week lull and if he was just an average player, he probably would have been an All-Star, but he wasn't. But if you're looking at like that next wave of player who was probably close to being an All-Star, I would say Dansby, Ian Happ, like Carson Kelly's had a nice year.
Suzuki's sneaky good too. He's had a sneaky good year. I know some of the numbers are down,
but that's more because of the NL outfield is so good. It's more because of that contingent.
Yeah, you got to think of the probability of him actually getting over some of the other votees that got in. So I totally agree with that. We got to go to something that you kind of, I guess you could say you clapped at Greg Amstringer a little bit. He's a friend of the show. Greg's a good friend of mine.
More of a
He had a very viral tweet here where he talked about the 10 most valuable players in baseball. He does this thing called Greg's List, which I actually really enjoy watching. I think he does a great job with them. This one got a lot of heat on Twitter, though, because he put 9 names up there and not one of them.
I'm going to recite this. Greg's most valuable players this season. Shohei Ohtani, number 1, totally get it.
It's totally get it.
Yordan Alvarez, number 2,
names on
totally
here are
get it. Junior Caminero, 3, said 11 home runs in 11 games over that stretch. Completely get it. James Wood, great year. Kyle Schwarber on pace for 50. Otto Lopez has been a big part of that Marlins resurgence. Jordan Walker's had an awesome year. Miguel Vargas has been great for the White Sox, especially since Munetaka Murakami has been out. Munetaka Murakami, excuse me. And then Dylan Dingler, really good player. There was one major
Cubs fans went out
major absence there. And I get it. This is fun. It's, good for banter, but Pete Crow-Armstrong is not on that list. I'm not saying that he should be number 1 or number 2. He should most definitely be on that list. And this is why. So I just did the ranks for Pete Crow-Armstrong among these top 10. And it's not just the league. It's among these top 10. So I have BWAR, F4, WRC+, batting average, hits, on-base percentage, runs batted in, slugging, OPS, stolen bases, and hits. And I would say those are the most major important numbers when it comes to metric numbers and 1980 numbers. And Pete Crow-Armstrong is top 5 in over half and is top 10 in every single one. And that's not even including the defensive value. He is not the best defensive center fielder in baseball, just that. He is the best defensive player in baseball.
Yeah.
So he is a top 10 MVP candidate. The Cubs are 11 games over 500 when we're talking right now, 10 plus games over 500. And if not for Pete Crow-Armstrong, they'd be under 500.
Yeah, I do think I totally agree with everything you're saying here. And I'm going to see Greg this weekend in Philadelphia, and I'm going to talk to him about this because I imagine everyone's going to bring it up to him. I think the main thing we're running into that, I wouldn't say it's frustrating for me, but being someone who enjoys the data and enjoys seeing that perspective, but I also love sitting down and considering the old school perspective in a variety of scenarios. I think we're at this weird point in baseball, and I would say even it's almost all sports, where we accept that the analytics exist, but then do a lot of analysis where we say, I think this doesn't do a great job of measuring something, but then we go on to point out things that the analytics measure perfectly.
Yes.
And I think that's my problem. That's kind of how Greg started this, where he's like,
WAR is way too important.
Yeah, but then he's like, I want the guy that plays
top 10
every
in
day.
everything else.
Well, it's also the phrasing of WAR has become the all-encompassing stat. And I actually do agree with him that I do think people that are voters, I'm not a voter, are a bit too attached to WAR, where it's just you're in a market, you watch those players, you watch maybe the team 2 times when they come in, and then you go vote on the award, and it's I don't actually, let me just go over to Fangraphs and look up WAR. Okay, cool, that's my Rookie of the Year. And listen, if that's how we want to do awards, that's fine, but I'm tired of the analytics are not good at capturing this thing, and then having an argument that we're capturing with analytics.
Yes.
We're capturing, do you play every day? WAR is a counting stat. If you play 85 games in a row, you will have a higher WAR than someone who's played 40.
Yes.
There's a mixture of that. There's the mixture of being all over the field, playing both sides of the ball. WAR encompasses that. So I just think we need to do a better job, and this probably falls on the analytics folks, to educate people on what we are capturing and maybe what we're not confident in is being captured properly, and having arguments on those things. Because I feel like we end up in these arguments that are very easily settled. Pete is a top 10 player.
But I also think that WAR is a flawed stat and it's all-encompassing stat. Sure. I don't think Pete Crow-Armstrong is the proper case to go for your argument, because he's top 10 in everything else.
Exactly.
He's top 10 in everything else. You're not even including the defensive numbers, or he's number 1, or he's number 2, and all of the traditional metrics. He has 19 home runs. He's just outside the top 10 in all of baseball, top 10 on this list. He is top 10 in the league in hits. He's leading that group in stolen bases. It's not even close, Lance.
I know. It's a tough one. I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that he's had some. I do feel like if you were to ask people who don't watch the Cubs regularly what they think of Pete Crow-Armstrong defensively, their brain is going to be split, where we've had these weird plays this season that he misses, and you're like,
4.
Yeah, but it's
4 of them.
If you think about the highlight reel plays, he's probably had 4 that get on the national account. So you have to think of the balance of it being perfectly even between, man, Pete made another really weird blunder here, and he made these 4 other plays. That gets to the larger point that I don't think we do a great job from an analysis standpoint measuring the impact of things that are very good alongside those are bad. It's kind of like the zone miss problem. If you put up a zone miss leaderboard, who's going to be on that board? Nick Kurtz, Shohei Ohtani. It's the guys who hit 45 home runs. I don't care if you're striking out 28% of the time.
You know who's going to be there? James Wood's going to be on there.
Exactly.
Kyle Schwarber's going to be on there.
You have to think of the value of the negative alongside the positive and net that, as opposed to just focusing on this guy made 4 errors. It's cool, he made 20 other catches no one in baseball can make. So,
but there's also the argument of outstanding player versus valuable player, meaning if you take James Wood out of the Nationals lineup, where are the Nationals? If you take Otto Lopez out of the Marlins lineup, where are the Marlins? If you take Schwarber out of the Phillies. So I think that's where the valuable versus outstanding.
I agree, but you're not putting Pete
there.
Sub 10 with that
He's
in mind.
not.
If the Cubs didn't have Pete Crow-Armstrong, they would be under 500.
They would be under 500. Correct.
He has saved them in a variety of games this season.
Yes.
So we can go on forever about this, as I'm sure you can as well.
Yeah, I'm not passionate about it at all.
Not at all. Not at all. We do want to hit on some All-Star snubs, kind of on this theme of the All-Star break coming up in Philadelphia. We'll show a tweet right now. Just shows some of the names that got snubbed. I believe a few of these did get inserted in with some of the odd rules around when pitchers have gone and thrown, and some other guys who were hurt, etc. Ashcraft and Contreras are the two, left side, right side right there, National League and American, that got in.
Yeah.
So now we're looking at the rest of the names as snubs. Is there one name on this list, Alex, that jumps out as the snub?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, Cubs fans, it's J.J. Weatherholt to me. I mean, for him being a rookie, being top 10 in the league in WAR, top number 1 overall at second baseman in WAR, he really had to come into the season working on his defense. Now he's one of the most valuable players in the league defensively, not just second baseman, hitting at the top of the order for the Cardinals. I mean, this is going to sound crazy to me. I think he's more valuable to the Cardinals than Jordan Walker is. And I think Jordan Walker's a really, really good player, and he's been really impressive in his age 24 year. If you're like picking one to have in that lineup for the rest of the year, for me, it's J.J. Weatherall. I think he's an all-star.
I think I agree with you. Premium defense there is really important. It's kind of like the floor that Dansby Swanson has created in his career is from the defensive side of things. He's been kind of all over the place offensively. He's evened out this year, been pretty good, but JJ at shortstop's more valuable than Walker in a corner outfield spot, even with the cannon of an arm he has. So I totally agree with you there.
All right, so who's your snub?
I think it's JJ. If you're going someone else on this list, I think Ashcraft would have been far and away my snub. He's had a better year than Paul Skeens.
He's been better this game.
But he got in, so we're absolved of the blame here to some extent.
I mean, it's tough for the National League where you have Bryce Turang on there. There was 5 snubs at second base alone in the National League. Ketel Marte, who's not even on that list, has had a really good year outside of April as well. So
yeah. Sonny Gray's been really good. He's a trade candidate coming up. Colson Montgomery's had a great season on the south side. I think you can make an argument for him as well. I'm not sure on the AL shortstop picture.
Wilson Contreras.
Nick Martinez, perpetually underrated. Thank you that he's out of the National League, where he's a Red who always seemed to put up 6 innings and 2 earned and keep the Reds in games. But kind of interesting snub lists here. The All-Star Game, again, is coming up this weekend. We have the draft coming up as well on Saturday. That is with myself and Jim Cowles, you see on Road to Wrigley all the time. Then I believe it's Futures Game Sunday, where you'll have Josiah Hartshorn in there alongside Mason McGuire, Mark McGuire's son, pitcher for the Cubs organization. That'll be fun.
You're going to be there.
The Derby. I will be there. That'll be a blast. And but yeah, so second half of this show, we're going to talk more about the Home Run Derby structure, which I'm kind of interested in your thoughts on. And again, we have to revisit, because this is the last show before the Cubs pick at 23 in the 2026 first-year player draft. Who are the Cubs going to take? You'll find that after the break. Welcome back to the Cubs Now podcast. Alex Cohen alongside Lance Brozdowski. We're talking through some all-star stuff. We didn't show this last block, but I do want to bring it up. Just take a peek at the starters here for the National League and then the reserves. We were talking in between this little 20-second break we take between blocks that it does feel like to some extent the reserves might even be better than the starters. This gets at the larger point that, listen, I think a fan vote is the proper way to execute this. I almost wonder, because of this no longer having an impact on the World Series home field advantage and such, whether we should move to more of the fantasy draft style system that other leagues do.
Kind of like
where you have perhaps a pool of players that fans vote on the captains of or something like that.
Just let Ohtani and Judge draft.
Yeah, or the fans vote on 2 captains that can't be from the same team in each league, and then those guys pick the players. I just think there should be a better way to get the fans involved that is maybe simpler than, hey, you have to pick someone at every single spot, because then you run into the bias of I'm a Dodger fan, and we have the most fans probably in the United States, so we're going to pick Dodgers straight down, or you're going to run into that with a variety of teams. Basically, whoever's winning at the time, that fan base
Andy Pages gets the start, and then you look at on the other side, like Toronto, they voted in Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Or Ernie Clement.
Ernie Clement.
That's insane.
And Ernie Clement,
he's fine.
Really
he's
good
player.
He shouldn't be the starter in the All-Star.
I don't know how he had 2 million votes.
Yeah, right?
No offense to Ernie Clement, he's a great player, but come on.
We respect you here, Ernie Clement.
I barely
do. I like good player.
This is the starters. Do we have the reserves? Can we throw up the reserves? Just to show, a lot of these guys are gonna rate higher on any all-encompassing metric like a WAR. A lot of these guys offensively and even defensively as well. But you got a lot of good players, and this is where Pete comes in. James Wood has been unbelievable this year.
I mean, the NL outfield reserves
Goodman's had an insane
year.
Man.
So I'm just looking at this list on its surface, and the NL outfield reserve list is better than the NL outfield starters.
I think I agree with you. Corbin Carroll down here as well. This is probably what we're getting at, where I think it might be more engaging for fans if you make it a simpler vote, and then you allow the players to select, and you get some fun crossover of Pete in an outfield alongside Mike Trout, which he's not going to have a chance to do unless it's a Team USA situation or something along those lines. So I think you could try to almost emulate some of the WBC stuff that you run into that is a lot, I think, more engaging perhaps than some of the All-Star game stuff specifically that transpires. The Home Run Derby is also different this year. So when I was a kid, and when you were as well growing up, it was always outs. So you kind of have an indefinite amount of time where you'd be watching this thing. I remember I always used to stay up late when I was young, and it would go late because
Lance
these guys would be
breaking rules,
swinging,
stayed up past his bedtime. Real rule breaker, Lance
Brozdowski. Real rule breaker for the Derby.
Yeah.
But I loved watching it when I was a kid, and I remember these would run late because you'd have a guy, I don't remember if it was 10 outs or 20 outs or what it was, but the homers wouldn't count as outs. So we're going away from the clock system they've had for the last, let's say 5 to 10 years, I'm not sure off the top of my head. And they've now gone to a swing system. So the first round's 20 swings, second round is 15, third round's 15.
Yeah.
So the homer counts
It's my first
as a
time
swing.
seeing this. Yeah,
so you can technically almost like max out your swings, your home runs, if that makes any sense.
This is definitely to consolidate time-wise.
It's got to be. You're trying to keep it a more kind of concentrated event, and I totally understand that. This is an interesting wrinkle. The last part of this is that the last swing, if you homer on it, then you get more swings. So like, if you hit 14 home runs in a row and you're on your 15th swing and you hit another 10 home runs, they'll let you keep hitting until you get an out. Probably not going to see anybody do that. So
that's for the last swing of each round?
Each round. So if you stack the home runs, you can keep going. That's kind of the way to think about it. Do you like this? What's your takeaway here? I'm still undecided. I mean,
I'm not a huge fan of like consolidating or like trying to dwindle down the time of the home run derby. I mean, you get to do it one time a year, and I think it should be as entertaining as possible for as long as possible as it should be. So anything that like diminishes that time, I don't think that I'm a big fan of on the surface, but I need to watch that.
Yeah, I got to see it. It's tough to tell the residual factors of how this would play out. Is it too short? I kind of miss the days of like Josh Hamilton hitting 35 or Bobby Abreu
hitting 42 homers in the first two rounds.
Cool.
Yeah,
I like that moment, and
I want to see a guy go on a heater. And if you're manipulating the amount of swings only until the last swing, I think it hurts like the heater standpoint.
And you're going to run into pitches that are taken here too, which you didn't have with the clock, where you kind of force the guy to swing. That was more fun. So I see some negatives. I see some positives. Yeah. Kind of curious to see how it rolls out. We don't have confirmed participants.
So I heard that it was Junior Caminero and Ben Rice and Jack Caglione.
Okay, Jack Caglione is probably my pick. That dude. You ever seen him take BP?
All right, you know what? Good luck betting against Junior Caminero then. I mean,
Caminero's a good one.
Yeah.
I always feel like I got to check the park factor in Philly. This is the nerd way to look at the Derby. I don't know if left or right is easier for lefties.
They're throwing 70 miles an hour.
Hey, this mattered in LA a couple years ago and elsewhere. I'm telling you, this is how you get an edge on this
the
stuff.
fun thing about Jack Caglione is like whenever he hits a home run, every home run that he hits looks like it goes 500 feet. And then you see the end of it's like 407 at a launch of 32 degrees. You're like, no way. Like there's no possible way that happens.
He has crazy raw pop. I don't anticipate any Cub being in here, but is there someone that's maybe a Cub or
Cub
that you're interested in?
Pete said that he wasn't going to do it. If you're looking for like the best Cub in a home run derby, there's two. One who you would guess and one who you wouldn't guess. Who are they?
Seiya would be a lot of fun in this.
Correct.
Yeah,
he's my one that you would guess.
I don't know who you would not.
Carson Kelly takes the most impressive BP that I've seen on this team.
I did not think you were going to go in that direction. All right. That's fun. I don't know if I have another name across the league. I mean, obviously the big guys like Ohtani's and the Judges, but I don't think
I like to see I think I'd like to see Nick Kurtz.
Yeah, I think he's already said no.
Nick Kurtz hits bombs. If you're looking for players who are either too good to do it or not healthy, Aaron Judge would be awesome.
Yeah,
Shohei would be awesome.
Judge is still hurt. I'm forgetting that.
Mike Trout would be awesome. If you're looking at the National League, especially being in Philadelphia, Bryce Harper, Schwarber, who are, I think, undecided at this point.
You got to have a Philly in there, right?
Yeah.
And I think those are the two obvious ones, so we'll see. I think Harper said it depends on if he finds the right person to pitch to him.
Who's pitching?
Again,
why don't you look at Baseball Reference of guys who have allowed the most home runs against him? Be like, oh, you want to be my pitcher?
I've seen a lot of those jokes, the quote tweeting of like the Mets fans showing their whole rotation and are like, pick it.
Found somebody.
Pick the pitcher. I love that stuff. The trolling between sports fans was some of my favorite here. All-Star stuff, again, going to be a lot of fun. Draft. Last time we're going to talk about it before we know the pick, which we will obviously react to when we know it at some point. For the Cubs, they're picking 23rd in the first round. I believe they have a comp round pick as well, so they have 5 picks in the first 4 rounds, depending on how it's structured. They don't have a big pool of money, which is a bit different than other sports. Other sports you don't run into.
Sorry, guys.
I thought they were like making some like...
No, backwards crack. That was fun.
The pool has a big impact on who a team takes, purely because in football and basketball, you're just going best player.
Yeah.
This situation, especially at 23 for the Cubs, I think it get a little interesting, where perhaps they cut a deal. They don't take the best player available, although of course they're going to say it's the best player on their board, but perhaps they cut a deal and try to push the money. They did a great job with Josiah Hartshaw and Caleb Wing in the most recent draft and kind of manipulating the pool to get as much value as possible. Daniel Jackson, catcher from Georgia, is the Golden Spikes winner.
That's who we have been talking about.
We've been talking about him.
Episodes, yeah.
We did see a mock. This was, I believe, Jonathan Mayo did a mock. Now, our guy Jim Callis has a mock that I think comes out either Friday night or Saturday morning of the draft, which is the last official mock they do. Cameron Flukie is who Jonathan Mayo mocked to them.
That's the Coastal Carolina.
I'm gonna veto this. I don't think they're gonna take Cameron Flukie. He's a guy that I think is kind of falling because of the breaking ball capacity here. Fun arm, throws heat, kind of looks like Tyler Glasnow, but just doesn't have the same spin feel. So
do you think he'll get down to 20?
Veto this.
Do you think he'll get down?
I think he'll get past 23. Is why I don't think the Cubs are gonna take him. Yeah, he's gonna fall. This is my read, my 2 cents. I'm kind of looking at the pitching class, talking to people in the industry on the arms they like. I haven't heard a ton of, I can't wait to take Flukie top 25. It's a lot of, I wonder if there's a dude we can get that's in the 30s for a little cheaper up there. Flukie's been injured. He's had an injury history. So,
but there's also been a couple arms, and one arm that it was supposed to be like a top 60, top 90 pick. Your guy, Brody Bumila?
Bumila, the mass. See, that's kind of a fun deep cut. I don't know where he's projected to go, but now that he had internal brace. Again, this guy, check out Pitching Ninja. We're probably not going to be able to pull it up this quick. This dude is 6'9". When I was at the combine,
he palmed your head.
I was talking to Ninja, Pitching Ninja, shout out Ninja and humble brag, combo of things there. Yeah. He walks into the room. He almost hits his head on the door frame, and I'm like, "Hey, Brody, how are you?" And I just said hi and walked out because he was going to talk to Rob. And then I saw Rob putting his hand up against Bumila's hand, and it looked like a child putting his hand up against their father. Bumila is just insanely large. He had internal brace last year, and now he's getting Tommy John because the internal brace didn't hold up. So you got about a 12 to 18 month timeline here, but the thing is, he was projected to go, if healthy, so to speak, or if the internal brace caught, he would have been a guy that would probably go top 20 and demand $5 to $6 million to go away from Texas where he's committed. Now he becomes kind of an interesting name at 23. If he would take a certain amount of money, I don't know what 75% of the slots, the minimum you can offer. I'm not sure what that is for the first pick for the Cubs, but if you want to pay him $3 million, $4 million, 2.5, there it is. This is insane. I mean, he's just a gargantuan human. Rob is probably like 6 foot flat. He's not the tallest guy, but
thanks,
he
Lance.
looks.
That makes me feel good.
But I'm saying next to Brody Bumila, anyone looks like the tiniest. Like this looks like.
Oh my goodness!
You remember Lord of the Rings when they had Gandalf sitting with Frodo? That's what this reminds me of. I mean, he's palming a baseball. This is like Wembanyama stuff.
Space Jam character. Looks like a monster.
So he's an interesting name to see where he ends up in the draft, just because the upside is massive. There's just not a lot of humans
but how
that
can
large.
You get Cubs fans on board with like at 23, you need pitching right now? Oh, we're going to take a pitcher, but he's not going to be ready in 12 to 18 months, and then probably 4 years after that.
It's a great point. And the only way you can do it is if you're selling it as like, just wait for the next 4 picks because we think we're going to get a ton of value by underslotting this guy. I feel like teams are always kind of working on this underslot stuff where they think they got good talent. The Cubs kind of did this with Ethan Conrad last year, who's a great hitter, fell because of shoulder injury. Cubs got him at a value they thought.
Now raking in the AZL.
Now
he's back,
raking, yeah. I mean, kind of an interesting outcome for them in that respect. But yeah, you're going to be in Philly, not going to the.
I'm not going to the draft, not going to the All-Star festivities, visiting some family. I do have a question for you to follow up with the draft. So let's say they do go with Jonathan Mayo's pick, and Flukie does fall to 23, and they take him. What can you tell them about him? And you said that his fastball is great.
Yeah,
how hard's the heater?
Yeah, he sits 96. Okay. Sits 96. He just has no spin feel. So like. There's this thing, we're getting really nerdy in deep cuts elements here of the Cubs Now pod, but you have guys who can spin the ball and can't, like raw spin capacity. I think a lot of the arms the Cubs like are guys who can spin the ball. Yes. Justin Steele can spin the ball. Matthew Boyd can spin the ball. There's a limitation a lot of the time with guys who have these beautiful carry fastballs where they just can't get to the side of the ball as effectively. Yeah. They can't hold velocity on spin. So you run into looking at fluky shapes and some other names in this class as well. Tegan Kuhn's, Tennessee's similar problem, where their sliders are like 83, 84. The average slider in Major League Baseball is 86 miles per hour. Yeah. So it's hard to look at him and go, hey, unless we add 2 ticks, 3 ticks, which is difficult when he's already sitting 96 miles per hour, there's not a lot to be gained there, I'd say, from a high-performance standpoint. It's hard to project that guy as being able to crush right-handed hitters in the bigs. That's right.
But is there a way that you could develop that once you draft him? Like, hey, you get in the lab with Tyler Zombro, and like, this is what we're going to work on for the next 2 years?
I would say the 2 things that are the hardest to adjust with pitchers from talking to people are fastball strikes, very difficult to adjust command, and spin feel. Okay. Those are like the immutable traits that a lot of teams are like, if you're talking to teams about a pitcher, you go ask Zombro about a pitcher, he'll be like, throws hard, can't spin it, or can spin it, we can develop velo. Yeah. Those are like the tentpole things you approach pitchers with. From there, you go into a lot of the peripheral stuff. And I'd say that ability to get around the ball really sets the foundation for your ability to have better success against right-handed hitters at the bigs, which is really important. So I would say they go towards, if they were to take a pitcher, Liam Peterson from Florida, if he gets to 23, can spin it really well. A couple other names there as well. I really like Taylor Rabe, Cade Townsend, a pair of Ole Miss arms. Both do a really good job kind of with this spin feel I'm talking about. But that's maybe the way they go. I still think they're going position player. I think you agree, right? Yeah. We're going to go Jackson. That's our pick. Give it to Dan Kantrovitz. Take Jackson, 23 if he's still there. As always, Alex Cohen, great stuff. Lance Brozdowski, Cubs Now podcast. We're going to have a State of the Union of sorts coming up in about a couple days, which you can check out here on the YouTube channel as well as Marquee Sports Network.